Hey, thanks, Greg, and appreciate everybody joining us this morning. This is kind of the third score, so we call it a hat trick in promoting ASUN football. We had the announcement of our new schools back in January with the ESPN broadcast show highlighting all of these three new schools. Then we had in February a launch party in Atlanta where we had an in-person activity. We did interviews and we talked about what the ASUN football wanted to be. And now we're launching. We're actually starting a season. So this is the first season of ASUN football. The conference has never had football in its history. We've looked at it a number of times. And since I've been with the league, which is closing in on 30 years, I think November 1, I hit 30 years. So, Mike, we've connected a few times in the past. And I would like to just tell you that we start with the ASUN beams. The first one is students first. We are here to provide a great experience for our students. We are here to support them in their educational pursuits, and we want to win. That means we want to win the game and we want to graduate. That's when we win. And if we have to choose one, the commissioner says graduate. That will provide you dividends the rest of your life. And whether you won or lost a game is going to be the most important thing that week. But 30 years from now, it will be a memory, and you'll remember the great friendships and things. But make no mistake, we are here to win, and we expect to be the #1 FCS conference in the nation. We want to start at the top. We've got the defending national champ playing in our league this year, and then we'll be changing our lineup moving forward. But our goal is to be the best, not try, not compete. Our goal is to be the best. So we want to make that clear right off the bat. Second thing about the all-conference, I didn't get a chance to tweet this. I appreciate Greg and staff doing all that work to get the awards announced. But we thought about whether we should include Kennesaw State and North Alabama student athletes. They are in the Big South this year. They're completing their schedule commitment. And so they are eligible for all of the Big South awards. And we didn't want to confuse that and figured let's make the broadest pool possible. And then, of course, the 4 WAC schools that are playing in this AQ7, the challenge, they'll do their own thing. We just figured we needed to provide an opportunity for the students that are in these 3 schools that are ASUN playing in the AQ7 to earn preseason honors, and that's normal. They shouldn't be deprived of that. So we wanted to start from that standpoint, and that's why we only limited it to those 3 schools. We will look to highlight all ASUN student athletes. So if we have student athletes that earn Big South honors, you'll see that retweeted in our promotional material. We want to be fair to the student athletes, and we are students first. The next 3 beams, we have 4 beams, are Rise, Connect, and Impact. Rise means we want to get better every day. Wherever we are, let's find out what we're not doing as well as we could and do it better. And that's in communications, that's in execution, that's in attitude, that's in everything we do. So you're part of our team. If you find somewhere we're lacking or could do better, let us know. And we've conditioned our staff to do what the commissioner does. Somebody brings up something that maybe we're not doing as well as we could, say thank you for making us better. We don't have the thin skin that'll take offense. There's no backlash for giving us a constructive suggestion. We want your input. We want to help you do your job. And we understand. I have a media background. I was a sports information director at Stetson in a previous life, and I have a little bit of memory about what that's like. And I know you don't work for us as media delegates. We want to provide you what you need to do your job. So just stick with us and let us know how we can help. The Connect beam is just what we're doing now. We want to be connected with you. We want to be connected with our schools. We want to make sure we are responsible in closing all communication. If you have an inquiry, we want to answer it. And then the last one, Impact. We want to have a positive impact. We want to make a difference, and we're going to be proactive and aggressive about that. You're all aware that there may be some realignment in college football. We think that is just an exciting and dynamic environment that allows opportunities for those who have some vision, for those that have a plan, and for those that can look a little bit further than tomorrow and see what institutions need, what students need, and how we can help provide that in a better manner. So we expect to continue to be a conference that looks ahead. We have the support of our President's Council, now 12 strong. They are composed of men and women who want to build their university and provide that great student experience. So we feel very good about the ASUN launching football this year. And I won't go over things that maybe you've already known about how we formed the 7 for this year, but I will tell you briefly, the NCAA has assured us that our application was filed in a timely and accurate manner. We are in the pool of conferences that are eligible for an AQ. Right now, no AQs for this fall have been awarded. So there has been 0 AQs awarded, but there is a pool of eligible conferences, and they are going to be considered by the football committee on Monday. And there's no reason to guess that any eligible conference, the ASUN WAC Challenge or any other conference, is going to be excluded. So the committee will review that pool of of conferences, and forward that to the Championships Oversight Committee. I've been on that committee. For football, it's basically a glance and a thumbs up, and so we expect that to pass without any issue. I've spoken to colleagues. I've already begun my participation as an FCS commissioner, and so it's an exciting time of transition for the ASUN, and we're glad to answer any questions you have. One of my policies is that we have to respond. If the question is one that I'm not able to answer, I will tell you. I cannot answer that right now. You'll be first on the list when we are able to answer that. But I appreciate everybody participating. Greg, I'm going to ask you to type in the chat. Would you type in your name, title, your mobile, and your email so that everybody can have that if they need it? Greg is going to be the primary media link for football and basketball, and he is going to be the assistant commissioner for our communications department. And just want you to know his contact information. He will have assistant director support and others that will certainly participate in content development and provide all sorts of updates. But Greg will type that into the chat so all of you can have that and save it and know who the primary media content person is. And then we had a chat earlier, and I gave my mobile. I'll give that again in the chat, and you can save that. Use it if you need it. I'd prefer you go through Greg to set up an interview, but if you need me, call me. I'll understand that there's some urgency and respond as best as I can. And lastly, we are going to do a media market tour. I am going to work probably from north to south and hit every major media market in the ASUN footprint. We're going to have fan chat. We're going to have media chats or Zooms, and we're going to try to get with the local radio stations, the podcasts in the area, and try to do that through the month of August. That's going to be one of our primary media goals. If you want to be part of that and get an exclusive on ASUN football or anything ASUN, reach out to Greg. We'll schedule you in on that, and it should be a lot of fun. We want to have fun. We want to enjoy what we're doing. And, football in the Southeast, what better piece of collegiate culture could we add to our portfolio? It's very exciting, and we're glad to be part of the pageantry, the fandom, the media coverage, and all that comes with college football in the Southeast. So here we go, Greg. Let's get some questions and see what we can do for these folks.
All right. Any questions for Commissioner? Commissioner Gumbart, I'm Joe Medley with the Anniston Star. Just wanted to get your take on what you see in these three new teams this year, especially on the football scene, and in particular Jacksonville State. What do they bring to the table?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm never an analyst. We actually just hired Lee Moon, the retired AD, most recently from North Florida. Spent his last, I think, 12.
Hey, Ted, I think we lost you. I don't know if anybody can hear him.
No, he cut out.
Any better?
Now I can hear you.
Yep, got you back.
All right. I don't know what happened. But that goes to the general response I was giving, that I'm responsible for certain things, but I can't be expected to know everything. So the football question about what do we expect from these three schools, especially Jacksonville State, we're going to have a debut a new program this fall, ASUN Game Day, and it will talk about the progress and the anticipated moves and the news of the week for ASUN football and all ASUN sports. And Lee Moon will be the analyst for football on that show. So we will set you up with an interview with Lee. We just announced him this week as the Associate Commissioner for Football, both operations and administration. So he will be very involved and can give you a little more educated opinion on, what kind of offense they're running, what the injuries mean, whether the extra year of eligibility is coming into play, or whether the team is a little tired from playing an extra game in the spring. Whatever those issues are, Lee is going to be great. He knows the game. He's been a coach. He's been a coordinator. He's been an AD, and he knows the game. So I'll leave that to him and the rest of your coaches you're going to talk to. But from a brand and an institutional value, we did a lot of research between November of 2018 and today that brought us to where we are. And I will tell you, these three schools share one very prominent characteristic, is the desire to build the best that they can be as an institution, as an athletic program, and a conference relationship. And they were all bold enough to make the step to start a new conference. And that in and of itself is something that is reflective from the president to the AD to the coaches, and the willingness to say the world is different. Let's build something better. And to be able to start with those three institutions, add them to Kennesaw State and North Alabama to say, hey, we should be as good as anybody. Let's make that our goal and let's do it. So we think we've got an unbelievable foundation. We're going to be attractive to other programs, and we firmly believe status quo is not a plan. Anybody that's just comfortable and saying, hey, I think we'll just stay where we are, that neighborhood around you may change, and staying where you are may end up being a completely different neighborhood than you anticipated it being. So we're going to continue to grow, be aggressive, and I will leave the football analysis to Lee and others. But I do know enough to know that we've got great football teams, and they're going to be fun to watch.
Ted, it's Mitchell Gladstone with the Democrat Gazette here. When you announced the conference, I guess a couple months back, you had said that some things were still up in the air in terms of getting teams for the future. So I'm curious about two things. You're going into this season with 5 teams. So obviously 3 only competing in the ASUN WAC Challenge. So I'm curious, number one is, where are you in the progress of continuing to, put together a conference for a year from now? And, with all this realignment that you've talked about, you've brought in some really high level FCS teams. Do you have any concerns that some of those teams could be interested, in making a jump if they were to be approached by an FBS conference in the coming months?
Hey, great questions, and I'll answer one of them about the next 2 years and the possible growth of the ASUN football group. That because we are eligible for an AQ this year, the NCAA rules stipulate that you will retain that bid for a 2-year waiver period if you drop to 5. And so we will be AQ eligible, as it stands for 22 and 23. So to maintain our status, we don't need that 6th institution at the outside until the 24 fall season. I'm confident that we will not use those 2 years of the waiver. So I'm not going to give you, hey, we're at the 30, we're at the 20, we're at the 15, 10, 5, touchdown. You'll find out when we score. I can't give you a progress. I think as you follow the Texas and Oklahoma, you'll have to take your hints from what people are doing. But until we have ink on paper, which means lawyers and presidents and commissioners are all in agreement, the only thing that can do is you run into a snag and you stop. So from our standpoint with conference realignment, you either announce the touchdown or there is no news. But we are confident that we are going to grow. The question you asked about FBS and could that be a threat? We like to analyze the environment. You can use your SWOT analysis if you want, strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Call it what you will. You need to be aware of the dynamics and how to plan forward for that and be able to provide the opportunity that the institution needs. If that changes or the environment changes, which obviously it is, then you need to have a 3 to 5 year plan that's flexible enough to accommodate different wishes. And we had a partnership with the Big South in football, and we are going to re-up with them. It'll have some different terms, but we are going to have a partnership and continue that. So we will look at all sorts of different ways that we can deliver value to our members. And also, as the landscape changes, our outlook is to make the future happen. Don't wait and say, oh, if the NCAA changes the rules, then we might get caught needing something. But we want to go the other way and say, look, it's a membership organization. The rules are made by the membership. The membership determines what it wants, and we will go ahead and build what is needed. We've got a history of building new alignments and new partnerships, and we're not afraid to do that. So, Mitchell, we'll look at it and make sure we are out there building what's needed, not sitting around waiting for somebody to, pull a school away from us.
So, as a follow-up to that, how do you, in this season, when you've got, obviously, you have 3 teams that are ASUN members and 4 teams that are WAC members. How do you start building that, that conference identity and that, and you build toward what you want to be as a football playing conference? How do you do that with only 3 teams?
Well, we hired Greg Meddy as our assistant commissioner for communications, and then we schedule a media day to talk to you guys so we can tell you what's going on and make myself available anytime so that you're always timely and accurate with your information. I sat on the Championships Oversight Committee. I sat on Division I Council. I sit on the Commissioners Association meetings with Mark Emmert and the NCAA leadership and get most of the news multiple times, even in a given week. So I'm happy to share whatever I can with you guys and continue to do things like reiterate ASUN is a student athlete result of the Atlantic Sun. And when we rebranded our logo, the student athletes said, we always talk about the ASUN. That's what we call ourselves. Can we just be the ASUN? And we ran it through our leadership. And I said, no, let's be student athlete friendly and changed ourselves to the ASUN. So we already have bi-weekly meetings with all of our football schools. We share ideas, we share vision, and I will tell you that even the development of this launch of football wouldn't have happened without those three institutions providing the leadership, and the ASUN, including our football teams, providing the support to make it happen. So we believe we've got good communication and good vision, and you have to prove that. You have to prove that all the time. So we will continue to do that and stay ahead of the developments instead of being reactionary. But anytime you want to know what's the latest today, I'm available. And Greg, it's only 10:27. That's pretty good, huh? Keeping you on schedule.
That's what we like.
I have one more question, if that was still time for that. Hey, Ted, my name's Cameron
Yeah.
Drummond. I'm with the Lexington Herald Leader. Just want to ask you a question kind of based around when you're adding teams into the conference, obviously trying to balance the push-pull of wanting to capture new media markets, but also not put too much stress on conference members when it comes to things like travel, lodging, especially coming out, hopefully, of the COVID pandemic, where a lot of athletic departments were stretched a bit thin money-wise. So just how did you in the conference kind of view that push-pull in terms of wanting to expand conference footprint, but also not put an insane amount of stress when it comes to athletic department budgets for travel and things of that nature?
Cameron, good to see you. That's a great question. And I will tell you all that I told Greg I would make myself available at 12:20. I think that's when the last coach is concluding. If anybody has extra questions that during the day dawned on them, or some of the discussion prompted another question. So even if it's just one or two of you, I'll check in with Greg at 12:20 to see if there's other questions or follow-ups and make myself available then. But the answer to the question really folds into what we were trying to accomplish. And we realized that football was one of the most dynamic factors that caused change. Our conference was one of the most volatile over the years. And the football was the biggest part of it. And so we built the partnership with the Big South. And then we made a decision that our greatest asset as a conference in relationship to football was that we didn't have it. So we could go ahead and kind of build what we consider an all-star league. You know, hey, let's go from our footprint with Kennesaw and North Alabama and say, expand that, you know, in concentric circles. Who else is there? Who could we ask if they're interested? And so we had a lot of those conversations. And ultimately, over a couple of years, it led to the group we have now. And part of the deal was that we wanted to go to 12 and play divisionally, so that if we were 9, FGCU has to go to Louisville and Nashville for every sport. Now that we're divisional, we play regionally, but then we only play across divisions for some competition. For instance, baseball, we're going to go east and west, and then we'll play a tournament. And we're strong enough in baseball that we hope to have multiple teams with at-large selections. And we may have East and West teams play each other, but it'll be a non-conference game. And so we wanted to be cognizant of the financial element, and that's certainly part of what motivated people to change. But it's also, if you play close to home, you can have more fans at the game, both home and away, which raises ticket revenue, and it also makes it a larger event. And the more people watching it, the more media coverage you'll get for that event. So I think there's some balance there. Exactly right. Add some markets for everybody, but also add a little savings in travel. But in basketball, we are playing everybody. You play your division twice and you play the other division once, because that's the premier sport for every ASUN school. And they want to play in every market to expose themselves to those new fans and that new media. So I think we've done a good job. And then I'll find and re-release a TED Talks we did in January of 20. So it's 18 plus months ago now, that said, if we can find the right partners and if the environment, the marketplace accepts it, because everything's market driven, it has to be accepted, that we're willing to build up to 18 and split into two groups, in 8 conceivably for football and 10 that are not FCS scholarship football, and manage them with a lot of benefits for being a group for scheduling and things, but follow NCAA rules to ensure that they can both operate as separate conferences to get another AQ. So that's one of the things that motivates the expansion. And for folks that think the basketball, football competition of what's the lead dog, and won't it lead to a Big East style split, we are looking at that as an absolute growth benefit. And if we can do that, we will do that. If we can't, we will adjust in different directions. There are multiple options, but I'll send a link to Greg, and he can provide it to our media outlet. And you can listen to that if you care to. That explains why we would consider expanding not just to 14 so we can have a full football group, but to do as many as 18 so we could ultimately become 2 conferences.